The big one.
Yes, I bought it anyway. As some of you may remember in my previous Switch 2 video, I was kind of excited for the system, but I had some concerns. I decided to bite the bullet and I got my hands on this stupid little thing. The pre-order process was surprisingly smooth for me. I really wanted to be a part of a console launch for at least once in my life. It's a silly little personal achievement of mine. In this special video, I think I'm just gonna look at the box for 10 minutes. Nah, just kidding, let's open it. As we can clearly see, there's the Switch, and there's the Joy-Cons. Excuse me, get your hand out of the way, sorry. But yeah, I'm actually surprised. The Switch 2 box is actually smaller than the Switch 1 box. Don't question why I have this box after 8 years. I just forgot to throw it away, it's been under my bed. And there's the left Joy-Con. The right Joy-Con. And this big old tablet. Underneath that is the, I believe this is the Joy-Con grip. This is the dock, and the cables for the dock. That's everything it comes with. Just like the original Switch. Get the shit out of here. When you turn it on without Joy-Cons connected, it gives you this little notification saying that you need to put them on the Switch. Since everything's about to be ready to go, I might as well set up the dock so I can play on the TV. Oh wait, I still have my Switch 1 here. I'm just joking around, I'm not gonna throw away my old Switch. God damn, look at the size comparison between these two. I knew the Switch 2 was gonna be bigger, but it's actually closer to the Wii U gamepad in terms of its size. I imagine it's gonna feel more comfortable than the Wii U gamepad because it's thin, like the original Switch was. The reason why I didn't put this video out on the day the Switch released is because I really wanted to have extended time with it, so I could give sort of a review. First, let's talk about the system itself, since that's probably what you're here for. The Switch 2, it's just a better Switch. Shocker, I know. The system is much bigger, so it fits in my big meaty hands a lot nicer. The Switch 2 is also just structured a lot better. The Switch 1 was kind of rushed out the door in 2017 because they needed to make up for how badly the Wii U performed, so it felt very cheaply made. My Switch feels super flimsy, almost like a plastic kid's toy. The battery seems to be about the same as the Switch 1, maybe a little longer. I haven't noticed a difference too much. Though they did add a feature to limit how much the battery charges once it reaches 90%. This is good, and I encourage all Switch 2 owners to enable this option right away. It'll help your battery's lifespan in the long run. My Switch 1 battery is a mess, to be honest. Speaking of options, I also really like the system menu. It's about the same as the Switch 1, which is a little disappointing, but I don't hate it like most people do, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, the Wii and Wii U had unforgettable system menus with tons of personality, but I always liked how snappy and quick the Switch menu is. The Wii U had unbearable loading times, especially at launch. The Switch 2 does have a tiny bit more personality than the Switch 1 does. The sound effects on the menu sound more Nintendo-like, kind of. They're a little more cartoony, which is fun. I'm really hoping that this will be the generation that brings back menu themes. Seriously, Nintendo, you're missing out on a ton of opportunities to sell us themes like you did on the 3DS. Hell, you could even make some NSO member exclusive if you really want to gouge money out of us for this. Speaking of NSO, I haven't tested Game Chat yet. Honestly, I probably won't anytime soon. I don't know, in an era of Discord and other methods to chat on games, I really don't have interest in using this feature. Let's be real here, Nintendo doesn't exactly have the best diehard fanbase, and I'd rather steer clear of interacting with them. Which is why I never used the game chat, even when it was a phone app. Also, that screen share quality is fucking horrible. It reminds me of that video of Patrick dancing to Soulja Boy. One last thing I should mention, the Joy-Cons feel so much better too. While the system is far too new to address the possibility of drift, the sticks feel a little smoother. I'm not sure if it's a different material or not, but I hope they have better durability. The Joy-Cons don't slide into rails anymore, they connect through magnets. This should mean that there won't be any more random disconnections from the handheld mode like the Switch 1 had. One issue about Switch 1 Joy-Cons that no one seems to talk about is how the right Joy-Con actually has a noticeably worse connection range than the left Joy-Con. This has led to weird button input delay when you're more than like 3 feet away from the Switch. This is a huge problem for someone like me who plays faster paced games that require good timing and input. Thankfully, the Switch 2 Joy-Cons have not had this issue. I played the Joy-Con straight out of the box and had an incredible time. I always wanted to like the Joy-Cons. They personally feel more comfortable in my hands than, say, a Wii remote. I know Nintendo Zoomers are gonna hate me for saying I prefer Joy-Cons over Wii remotes, but I'm serious. I love the Switch 2 Joy-Cons. While we have yet to see if they're gonna drift, I know the Switch 2 does support Switch 1 controllers too. So, don't worry about needing to buy new controllers if you already have old ones lying around. But man, you need to give the new Joy-Cons a chance. I've been playing games with these a lot. And speaking of games, let's talk about some of the games I played on the Switch 2. I want to first talk about the Switch 2 version of Sonic X Shadow Generations. If I had it! Fucking Sega wants to charge you full price for a game that I literally own on the same system. What kind of shit is that? Seriously, I hope Sega pulls their head out of their ass and actually gives Switch 1 owners at least like a discount on the Switch 2 edition. I actually used to double dip on Sonic games. First, I would get it on Switch for comfort and convenience, and then on PC or PlayStation for performance or mod support. For Shadow Generations, I was actually holding out because, for one, I own Sonic Generations on pretty much everything, and I was expecting them to actually give us a free, or at least discounted version on a Switch 2, but nope. Thanks, Sega. Yet another misstep for my favorite shitty publisher. Anyways, here's some other re-release I was excited for at launch. The Arcade Archives Ridge Racer. Contrary to popular belief, this re-release of an arcade classic is actually not exclusive to Switch 2 like they advertised. There is a Switch 1 version available. The way Nintendo is going about the system editions is kind of confusing, to be honest. If you want both versions, you're supposed to buy the Switch 1 version first, and then you'll be able to get a discount on the Switch 2 version for much cheaper. I don't know why they don't just go the PlayStation route and have both versions sold in one listing, and when you purchase it you can choose to download whatever version suits your system best. I imagine for those who don't really pay close attention to what version they're getting, they might accidentally buy the wrong version. Nintendo should really fix that, just bundle the two versions together to avoid confusion. Since we're on the topic of Switch 2 editions, I also played the Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition. Honestly, after playing this game several times over the time of a decade, seeing it run at 60 frames per second was kind of cursed. It reminded me of those videos where people put like Dragon Ball Z fight scenes in 60 FPS. It's kind of disorienting and weird looking. I've never been picky about game performance since I mostly grew up with the N64 and PS2 and they never really had the best performance for a lot of their games. For Zelda, I'm used to this game running like shit. Like I mentioned in my previous Switch 2 video, I had the Wii U version when this game first came out because I couldn't get a Switch 1 at launch. It's kind of awesome seeing Nintendo hardware finally catch up to this game and run it smoothly. Similar to when I first played Sonic Unleashed on the Series S, I don't think I could ever go back to the lower frame rate versions. The one thing I will say, I wish the Switch 2 editions were cheaper though. If you're not a sheep like me and you don't pay for Switch Online, Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition costs $10 to upgrade. For players new to this game who didn't buy it previously, that's $70, not including DLC. Nintendo should really include this game's DLC in the expansion pack for Switch Online. Splatoon 2, Animal Crossing, and Mario Kart 8 have theirs included, but not Zelda? That's weird. I also haven't played Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition yet, but I imagine it also has that same upgrade. I prefer this game, so I probably won't be replaying that one for a little while now. Next thing I played was the Switch 2 Welcome Tour. I know, big surprise, Nintendo Manchild criticized a new game and still bought it anyways, but honestly, I kinda enjoyed this game. Also, it's not like this game cost $50. They sort of learned their lesson from 1-2 Switch in that regard. The Welcome Tour was not marketed very well in my opinion. Most of the coverage of this game that Nintendo gave mostly showed its educational side more than actual gameplay. People thought this game was just a digital manual you had to pay $10 for, but it's actually a minigame collection hidden behind a console tutorial. I still think it should have been free, but for $10, it's not a bad game. Nothing mind-blowing, but it's pretty fun. I think it's worth playing. Next up is the big one, Mario Kart World. After waiting a decade, finally we have a brand new Mario Kart. You don't count. I know it's really easy to hate on Mario Kart World because of its price, but this game is really good. I'm sure that the team behind this game didn't want it to cost this much. Usually this is a choice from greedy higher-ups who just want to push people to spend more money. I feel so bad for Kosuke Yabuki and his team. These guys made Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart 8, and the underrated ARMS. They're a genuinely talented team, and this game's reputation has been so badly stained due to Nintendo's greed. Imagine putting your heart and soul into a game for several years only for a bunch of YouTubers to pump out video essays on why you're a horrible person for wanting to buy the new Wahoo Man racing game. Before you think I'm defending the price, no, World should not have costed $80. That I can agree on. Like I said, I don't think the developers wanted to have this game cost that much, and it doesn't feel like it was made with $80 in mind. It feels closer to the original Mario Kart 8 in terms of content. I know Nintendo tries to justify the price, but it really doesn't have enough content to warrant that. It doesn't add on to 8 Deluxe. Many of the characters from that game were cut in favor of fucking Cataquack from Super Mario Sunshine. I'm also a bit disappointed that features like the custom item mode weren't carried over too. The open world itself is pretty okay. Part of why this video took so long, besides suffering from burnout, was because I also wanted to sink my teeth into Mario Kart World. The open world is not as densely packed as, say, Burnout Paradise, which is another free-roam racing game that I absolutely adore. The core gameplay here is pretty damn good. It's essentially just a next-gen Mario Kart 8, with some extra bells and whistles to help it stand out, like the wall riding and rail grinding. One thing I absolutely hate about this game, though, is the character selection screen. Holy shit, this is a mess. Why are all the costumes laid out like this? There's a way to sort them by character, but that doesn't make it much better. It's still disorganized. They nailed the selection screen in Mario Kart 8. You just pick a character, and then a window pops up that shows what costume you want to pick. Literally just do that and it's perfect. We nailed this in 2014. Seriously, I hope they patch this later on. It's a disaster. The costumes themselves are pretty awesome though. Some of my favorites include Bee Wario, Arrow Daisy, Waluigi's Taco Stand, Boy Scout Bowser Jr., and holy shit, Dino Rider Yoshi is canon! Unlocking these costumes is pretty annoying though. The way you get costumes is by eating these little fast food bags. Most characters get the food and then they turn into some new costume. The problem is, some characters have different tastes than others, so you don't always get a new costume with some food items. Thankfully, a guide came out a few hours after launch, but before that, I was basically doing this guessing game of constantly swapping characters in free roam and having them try the same food until I unlocked something new. This is a really stupid design choice in my opinion. It feels very random and cryptic. Also, unlocking the enemy/NPC characters unfortunately has that same random chance problem. The way you get them is by getting this Kamek power-up where he summons an enemy or NPC. The problem is, the power-up isn't easy to get. It's completely random to even get it in the first place, and even when he uses it, getting the new character is completely random, so you might keep getting the same character over and over again. I keep getting fucking Nabbit every time I try and get a new character. Unlocking the entire roster is very grindy, and it almost feels like it's there to pad out gameplay. Hopefully it'll get easier with time, either they make an update to make it easier, or people figure out a way to make it easier themselves. I know I've been very negative towards this game. I'm trying not to be too harsh though, because I do like Mario Kart World. Maybe it's just the recency bias, but I'm having a lot of fun. The free roam isn't perfect, but it's very cozy and it's fun to mindlessly drive around until you find stuff to do. I like it. The tracks themselves are all pretty great, and I love the creative liberties taken to connect them in the open world. I know some people have criticized that some of the connecting roads are a little empty, but trust me, not all of them are like that. Some of the transitions are super fun and very interesting. This is one of those games that I think is objectively more fun to play yourself than watch some game journalist mindlessly fumble around with. I didn't even notice that some of the connecting roads were actually connecting roads because they felt so naturally linked to the actual tracks. Hell, some of the connecting roads are actually segments from retro tracks. A lot of passion went into this game, and its presentation. This is the best looking Mario Kart game to date in my opinion. While I do miss some of the realism from Mario Kart 8, this game's more cartoony art style is a joy to look at. I love this recent trend of Nintendo trying to adapt the iconic Yoichi Kotabe art style into 3D models. They absolutely nailed it here. Super expressing and charming animations all around. The soundtrack is amazing too. The original music for this game is all great, but there's also tons of remixes of older music that play, especially in the main menu and the free roam. At first, I thought they'd only remix music from the previous Mario Karts, because that's always been the tradition, but nope, there's a ton of music from the entire Mario franchise here. There's the obvious ones, like remixing the 2D games, like New Super Mario Bros. And stuff, but there's also a ton of 3D Mario music, like from Super Mario Odyssey and Mario Galaxy 2. There's even a lot of stuff from spin-offs. There's some deep cuts here such as Yoshi's Story, WarioWare, and even the How to Draw Mario song from Flipnote fucking Studio. That alone makes this game amazing, in my opinion. Again, I can't stress how much love and care went into this game. I have seen a handful of people call this game evil and soulless, but I have to disagree. I really do think some people just reject this game because it's different from the other Mario Karts, and there's this common sentiment I see among Mario Kart fans where the best game is just the one you grew up with, and anything afterwards is not as good in your opinion. Also, I think it's generally become very easy and almost encouraged to hate Nintendo on the internet, to the point where even if you're the slightest bit positive towards Nintendo, you get called a bootlicker. Honestly, Mario Kart World is a welcome addition to the Mario Kart series in my opinion. It's not perfect, but I love this game. I'll be doing a more in-depth review at a later date, because I actually had this little idea where I review the entire Mario Kart series and then make my way up to World. I wanted to do it leading up to release, but I was busy with other things, and I just didn't have the chance. But keep an eye out for that when I do it, I guess. One last thing, I love the new photo mode. Here's some of my pictures.
May I please have the water?
Sir, please you need to stop. There are children.
Please?
To conclude this video, the Switch 2 is a nice improvement. Would I recommend it? Yes, but it depends. If you're perfectly happy with the Switch 1, you don't need to get a Switch 2 anytime soon. The hardware upgrades are great, but they're not a necessity for most people. They're going to continue supporting the Switch 1 for a few years probably. We're getting a ton of games this year, and we'll likely see more in the next coming years. Mario Kart World is a really good launch title, but if racing games aren't your thing, I'd wait until something that appeals to you comes out for it. I personally wish we got a more single-player focused game for launch, but then again, Donkey Kong Bonanza is literally coming out next month, so I'm kind of getting what I wanted anyways. I get why they chose Mario Kart. It's a smart choice to launch their new system, especially with 8 Deluxe being their best-selling Nintendo game. Anyways, Switch 2. It's pretty cool. Buy it, or don't. Whatever. I hope you liked my rushed review about the shiny new toy from Nintendo. If you didn't like this video, tell me why. I prefer comments and feedback more than you just hitting a like button. I've been Sunnie64, and I'll see you, I don't know, sometime soon. I got other stuff in the works, mainly more reviews. Subscribe if you want to keep up with whatever I put out next. Also, consider checking out my gameplay channel, Sunny Saturn. Bye!